Welcome to the Addiction Connection podcast, connecting the hope of the gospel, the heart of addiction. I'm Mark Shaw. This is Jim Quigley. We are excited to talk about a wild and crazy subject today. But before we do, let me read you a little bit from the book of Ecclesiastes. This is what the summit's going to be about. We're going to go through the entire book of Ecclesiastes and apply it to the heart of addiction. And on July 31st through August 2nd, that's our summit in Cincinnati. But before we do that, I just wanted to read Ecclesiastes 1. I'll start in verse 1. It says, "The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises, the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full to the place where the streams flow. There they flow again." And then here's where we're going. Verse 8. "All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, 'See, this is new'? It has been already in the ages before us. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of later things yet to be among those who come after." So we have a situation in the news right now, and when this comes out, it'll still be fairly newsworthy. But in the great state of Washington, the Healthcare Authority Group is recommending that the government give addicts fentanyl and other drugs. Tell us what in the world is going on, Jim, with that.
Yeah, if I often find myself these days, talking about the secular world's answer to addiction and presenting it in a way that they've just flat out given up. And if anything proves that they have just given up on people getting sober, this news story it takes the cake. So they are considering in Washington State 4 different possibilities of providing what they call a safe supply to drug addicts. Okay. And basically all of they're all nuanced in their own way on how it would be done, whether they would just fully do it by the government, by hiring doctors and finding drugs that are close replacements that you can prescribe, and then just giving those prescribed drugs to addicts. But there's also like an initiative, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but where they would basically supply the funding so that they could get a group like a co-op together to purchase large amounts of drugs, literally from cartels, I guess. I don't know. And then that group, that co-op, would test the drugs and then distribute them safely. So, I mean, it's totally insane. Oh. You and I, right before, I heard you listening a little bit to the one person on YouTube, and they're literally not only thinking that, hey, this is a good idea, but they're worried. They're literally worried in this process of disadvantaging the current drug dealers, right, of the area by taking away their source of income. So they want to have some kind of initiative in order to help replace that income with some kind of a job or something for the drug dealers, because they don't want them to be hurt by them taking the drugs out of their pocket and giving it. I mean, it's just totally crazy.
Yeah, so they don't want them to lose their job as a drug dealer. That's their big concern with this. So the government takes over as the drug dealer, offering a safer supply of illicit drugs. These aren't legal drugs, these are illicit drugs that they're going to be offering. And one of their big concerns is drug dealers are going to lose their jobs as drug dealers. Oh man, when you sent this to me, I really thought it was a joke. I didn't pay attention too much. But you're right. I've heard you say that. I think you're right on. They have given up. They have no hope for sobriety at all. It's harm reduction. That's the model they're going after is let's just give them the drugs. They're going to use them anyway. We can provide them in a safer way. And like fentanyl, we'll give them the drugs in a safe way. And they'll use responsibly, Jim. That's what drug addicts do when they get safe supplies. They use responsibly. They don't overdose and die.
Well, I mean, this is where things actually become even more problematic because legitimately their efforts have, for the first time in like years, reduced the amount of deaths in the country. So
right.
That is true. There's less people dying today, but that's just like you could really spend a whole episode probably unpacking that. It's like, okay, less people are dying, and that's great. We can all celebrate that. We don't want to see people die. But how many more people are on government subsidized drugs now?
Yeah.
And have just no life except for that.
Yeah.
So they'd be like Walking Dead now. And if you ever want to see the end results of people that are just so bought in to harm reduction, all you have to do is go see these big cities like in California and in Washington and in Portland and Seattle. And in our side, my side of the country, our side, you're on my side of the country too. Philadelphia, the open air markets where people they just leave them alone. They let them do what they're going to do. And they got whole city blocks of people just walking up and down as zombies, just doing drugs all day long. And you have all the social workers and people that are trying to, implement harm reduction. They just walk up and down those streets with Narcan. As soon as someone overdoses, they're there shooting them with Narcan so that they can, stop the overdose, giving them clean needles and all that stuff. But I mean, yeah, and it's really sad. I shudder when I hear a report talking about the gold standard in addiction treatment today. Which do you know what the gold standard is in opioid treatment today is buprenorphine. That is the gold standard. So we've talked about it a lot of times on this podcast, but buprenorphine is a synthetic opioid that once you start taking it, if you were to stop taking it, you would go through worse withdrawals than fentanyl or heroin that you were doing in the first place. So how that is the gold standard, I just don't know.
So medication assisted treatment, that's the gold standard. That's what they're doing with guys coming out of prison. They have to agree to take methadone or this drug that you mentioned, or they're having to get on that drug even if they're not addicted to opioids. They still have to get on it, and I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I had a gentleman came to our program actually from Ohio, and he was in jail, and that exactly he came to us, and he had to stop taking his buprenorphine, and so I just assumed he was an opioid addict. And I said, so were you an opioid addict? And he said, no, I've never liked opioids. He said, My problem was
Yeah.
was meth. He said I was doing meth, and I'm like, well, why'd they give you buprenorphine? And he said, well, they said that this would help me not relapse. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Well, I mean, having worked on a program like that, guys would, they'd stop using heroin, maybe stop shooting needles in their arms, which is good, but then they'd still use marijuana, they'd use benzodiazepines, they'd use cocaine, things that they could feel because the synthetic opioids only cover the receptors for opioid drugs, and so you can feel cocaine, benzos, and marijuana. So people were still doing that stuff to get high. They just weren't doing heroin anymore, and so it really wasn't changing the heart at all. And it wasn't even making people clean and sober. It was just a harm reduction model and kind of fruitless. I mean, what's sad is the value of human life is not there, and they don't care. They're giving up. They're treating people kind of like rats or kind of like just animals. Well, they're going to use, and that's what this article is basically saying. They're going to use anyway. So we just want to reduce the risk that they're going to overdose and die, which they don't care about them anyway. So I don't know why that's a big deal, but that's what they're saying. And this article says, but the model as applied does not focus on treatment at all. It's in King County out in Seattle. They hand out free fentanyl smoking kits on demand and do not even mention treatment options during the transaction. So they have given up, like you say. That's what's sad. But we have hope. Freedom Farm, the Addiction Connection organizations, Jim Quigley, Mark Shaw, we have hope. We believe people can be clean and sober, don't we, Jim?
And you said that a minute ago. I'm going to push back on you, Mark. You said,
okay.
You said, what their efforts are not aimed at changing the heart, and that's true. But you said that they don't care about these people, and I would say I disagree. I disagree with that. I really believe there's genuine empathy, but they have a fundamentally different perspective on humans than we do. Right? Yeah. They look at humans now, and this is the give up part. They've tried every human way to change these people, and it has failed over and over and over again. Yeah. So now they just look at them as unchangeable. And they do have empathy and compassion. So they've given up on trying to change them. They're unchangeable. We just got to try to extend their life. That's all we have to do. And I would say that they believe what they're doing to some degree is being empathetic and compassionate to them. But it's fundamentally what you just said. It's fundamentally denies that people can change, people can be transformed, people can be different. We believe that. The secular world no longer believes that.
Well, and we only believe the Holy Spirit and God's Word can do it. We can't do it, and no program can do it. So, yeah. So we've given up on the things of the world, too. It's like this Ecclesiastes passage I read. All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. And it's just on and on, like nothing under the sun that man can do to help is helping and working. And so they've given up. But they haven't given up in a way that they've looked to heaven and said, we give up. Will you help us, Lord? It's like, we give up. Let's just do the next human thing, the next best human thing that might, quote unquote, work. But yeah, I think we can both be right. I don't think they care about, eternal life. I don't think they care at all about
No, I don't think they
souls.
care about eternal life at all. I don't think they would ever cry out to God because they don't think there's a God there. So they would never go. But trying to understand them.
I think you're right.
I'm the nice one. I'm the nice one.
You are nice, man. I'll be bad cop on this one, but yeah, no, you are. I shouldn't attribute nasty motives to some of them for sure. So yeah, I just have become cynical, and that's not good.
Well, there's
No, I don't need to do it.
a lot of reason to be cynical. Trust me. I'm pretty cynical in the whole secular world myself.
Yeah.
But I'm cynical in the fact that these people all need heart transformation, and I'm hopeful that that is possible.
Yeah.
I even have dreams that maybe this would be some kind of vehicle for like some kind of a mass, conversion or revival in Christianity that people, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? So wouldn't that be amazing if a
That would
giant
be.
revival was led by former
Yes.
former addicts being transformed?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I was going to ask you, do you have a recent story, without giving details, too many details or any names or anything like that, but do you have a transformation testimony of a guy at Freedom Farm, the ministry that you're the executive director of, and it helped you personally? You've shared that in your testimony and stuff. What's a recent testimony? Because that person would have, if they go to this other model that we're talking about, the harm reduction, they're just going to keep using. But you have probably a transformation testimony that's recent of a guy in your program that God really touched him and changed his heart and life.
Yeah, I actually have. I'm blessed to have a few rolling through my mind right now. There's a couple guys that are at the latter parts of our program that are just really doing really well. And I'll give you one story. A guy that's in our program still, really didn't have much of a relationship with, just a peripheral understanding of Christianity, came here and really, I guess, kind of saw the light, per se. We went on a men's retreat with our church. There was about 125 men on this retreat, and he was in my group, and I was just, as they were asking discussion questions in our small group, just hearing him answer the questions, it was just like warmed my heart, because it was like, he knows now, and to top that off, the other day, he's got a very busy job. He's a chef, and that's a lot of hard work. And he's off every Thursday, and he came over recently and asked for permission. He said, "Hey, on my days off, is it okay if I go over and help out the maintenance guy at church with the grounds of the church property?" And I was like, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
He loved that. So he goes and volunteers his time. So that's just one story. I got another guy that came here from another state. I won't say the state. I don't want to give up too much information. Yeah. But he came here via relatives from another state that had sent their son here years ago. And this was a cousin, and they sent him here. And he was from a big city, one of the biggest cities in the country. He was gaming the whole system. Like, he got married. He literally got married just so that he could get better Section 8 housing. Like he made a deal with a girl. Hey, let's get married so that he can continue to do the stuff he was doing. But that guy came here, and he's finished our program now. And he literally did so well that he got a job here in the community. The bosses loved him over there. He was able to save up. He's got not one, but 2 vehicles. And he rented them. He's got his own apartment and was able to put his own first, last, and security down for his own apartment. And that's a big deal in our town because of the college here. Our rents are astronomical. And so he's living near us and still shows up for all of our church events and everything. Still comes by, and he's just living his life. He's still going to church and still hanging out and still showing up. And it's just even his family that sent him here. It was a uncle, and he's like, "Look, my brother, his father is terrible, and I just don't think nobody knows what to do with this guy. I don't think he'll ever be able to succeed in life." And look at him now. He's just thriving.
Man. Well, and those are 2 examples that if we sent them out to King County, there where the government gives them safer supply and more drugs and harm reduction, they're not going to be motivated to come to a place like Freedom Farm to get help, to change. There's no hope. And there is hope for these guys.
It's funny because we're actually, I'm not the only one. I've got other friends that run programs, and we're all experiencing a lull, like, of people trying to get in. Right. And I've actually recently announced that I had some full scholarships at our program, for anybody that maybe would benefit. And I've called our local places to let them know, and they don't have anybody interested. And I know they're serving because I see the buildings, and they're all on mat therapy or treatment, and they know that we don't allow that here, and so they're like, no, I'd rather just stay on my drugs.
See, this is an interesting turn, and I hadn't thought about this till you said it. But mat therapy is going to put Christian organizations like Freedom Farm and our other TAC network programs gonna put the crunch on them financially, because you're not having as many people that you're helping. The market's sort of drying up because they're getting their mat and they're getting their other drugs and their harm reduction, and so it's actually going to hinder the ability for us to share the gospel and the hope with people. Do you see that? Do you think that's?
No, like I said, people, I'm always, because I'm the director, I'm always being asked by the board, to have answers for, why is the phone ringing? Why is it not ringing? Why is it that, and I really don't have any solid answers for that stuff, but I do call around and ask around, and, you kind of just, put these pieces together. And when I call a local place in our town that literally has a waiting list for their halfway house, they have the people that are waiting are living in the woods in tents. And I tell them, hey, if you got a guy there that would be interested in maybe trying a Christian discipleship program, I got a free ride for them. They're like, yeah, we'll let you know, but they don't have anybody that's interested.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and I know that's true because I talked to different guys, maybe some of the same guys, but I think different ones, and I think it's around the nation that admissions into programs, Christian programs, biblical programs, is much lower than it's been in a while for a lot of programs.
Well, there's a ton of money going towards that other part of the. I think North Carolina, through the opioid settlement, got close to, like, I forget how many millions and millions of dollars that each state got an allocation. And the thing is that, let's say your state got $1 billion of that money. I think the rule is something like 85% of it is already earmarked and has to be spent on mat therapy.
Yeah.
So they distribute that money to the states for treatment, but they tell you the kind of treatment that the money has to be spent on, which is, again, the gold standard.
Well, and Purdue Pharma, the Sacklers reached that $7.4 billion opioid settlement. I think that's what you're referring to. That was in June. And so they brokered a deal, but the deal is, like, they can still make their opioid replacement drugs, their mat therapy drugs, and they can still get money from that potentially. But this money that's flowing to the other side is taking people away from us and an opportunity to share the hope of the gospel. It's sending them to these secular programs and these mat programs and all that. So
yeah, you get that money. That money it has to go to mat therapy. Well, part of mat therapy is having caseworkers that will promote mat therapy and doctors that will prescribe mat therapy. So you've got these people that are, not necessarily addicts, that are professionals, and they're being told, hey, this is the gold standard. Here's almost unlimited resources to get people on it, and you're doing a good thing.
Buprenorphine, man.
Yeah, Purdue Pharma makes the latest and greatest delivery of buprenorphine called Sublocade, which is a shot you get once a month.
Oh man, I'm laughing, but I'm crying on the inside. This is so sad.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But what I know, because I've been on buprenorphine personally, I don't know, a dozen times or so, because I know what that world is like, I know that there are people that are going to hit into themselves in that world even, you know. It's sad that some of the urgency has been taken away because of the harm reduction stuff and the urgency to get into a place. But if you live that life of buprenorphine for a while, you really feel like you're in bondage. You know, it's like, I'm not free, and I don't think that sits well with the average person.
Right. So you feel that way, you are that way, and hopefully they want to get off of that too. It'll rebound, it'll come back. But we're about seeing souls saved. We want people to know the truth. We want them to know Jesus. We want them to trust in Jesus. We want them to be in heaven. That's why we're doing this. It's just under the umbrella of addiction and counseling the heart and all that. So, well, good. Well, that's provocative. I'm really glad we did this, and I want people to hear this truth. And I love the way you think about these issues, because you really help me to understand it even better. So thank you, Jim. Appreciate your intellect and thoughts on this and taking the time out. I know you have a busy life. The kids are growing up. They're all in college now, almost. Not quite, but they're that smart, so it won't be long. But anyway, well, you're doing okay?
Yeah.
Everybody, you doing fine? All right.
I am doing well.
And we'll see you at the summit at the end of July, early August.
Got my hotel room already.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm staying with some friends, and but I'm looking forward to hanging out with you as much as possible. So if you see Jim at the summit, hopefully you'll see me right there standing next to him. So we'll be hitched, joined at the hip, or whatever they call it. I don't know.
It'll be good to see everyone, to see you too.
Yeah. Well, I'm mixing my metaphors, so it's time to go. But thank you, Jim Quigley. Thank you for thinking about this issue. I think it's important, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.